lot of those pictures that you saw are from my school that I founded 18 years ago. It's the School of Performing Arts. It has classes in dance, music and theater, and visual art. And we now have 2 locations, one in Plainfield and one in Naperville. The first school that we started was in Naperville. And it is just an art school. It's not an academic school as well. It's after-school programming. And then we have stuff for preschool kids and special needs kids throughout the day. And it's a big place. There's over 2,000 students that go there, and there's 50 artists that teach there in all those forms, and it's just a great place, and I'm really proud of it. And my story is that I went to Millikin, and I went on a musical theater scholarship, and actually it was just a theater scholarship, and I really had no clue what I was even doing. I chose Millikin because of my drama teacher in high school. She was really cool, and I liked her a lot and learned a lot from her in high school, and I always danced and did the school plays. And my parents, I have great parents, they did not go to college, and I'm the youngest of 5, and my brothers and sisters, they either went to the community college or they didn't go to college. And so my parents didn't really know how to help me. I wasn't as fortunate as all of you to have parents who had that knowledge, and I didn't. So I just really kind of followed my teacher. So I went to Millikin, on the scholarship, but really had no clue what that meant. Like, not a clue. Got off the bus at freshman camp, and everyone's saying, go to your major, go to your major. And I'm like, my major? Like, I didn't even know that was called my major when I got off the bus. And I'm looking around, I'm thinking, I see the sign for nursing and business, and there's one for theater, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's called my major, I guess. So this is how I started college. Really just uninformed and just kind of stumbled. But I had a great college career and just loved it. Did end up changing my degree, but to marketing, and I minored in dance, but really not because anybody was telling me I needed to have something else to do just in case this theater thing didn't quite work out. I didn't do it that way because my parents didn't think of that, and I didn't know any better either. I really did it because I paid attention to the things that I really enjoyed doing. And so I really enjoyed theater, and I loved dance. I've done it my whole life. But I also really enjoyed being a leader in my sorority, and I also enjoyed show choir, and I also enjoyed being a cheerleader, and I also enjoyed other things that were skills that I had, and it kind of led me into another degree. So some people think, oh, well, you planned that perfectly. You had this, you said, oh, I'm going to open up a dance studio because I started this as a dance studio. You're going to open this as a dance studio. You got a marketing degree. You know how to market it. You're a dance minor. Like, you planned that really well. Well, I didn't plan it at all. It just happened that way. So that's pretty much where I come from. And the reason why I feel like I can talk to you about this topic, about what you're going to do after you go to college, is because I direct 50 artists. They're my dearest friends, and most of them are my age and younger. They're trying to figure out how to pay their bills and be in a dance company and do their art, and they're just making their way like we all are. Like, I still am at 43. Like, everyone is in the whole world. Everybody's still just trying to figure it out. Because I work closely with artists and I guide them and lead them and kind of see their struggles, that's really just what I want to share with you, is what I see in them and what I saw in myself, and how maybe something out of that can help you. So you're all here because we dread the question, what are you going to do after you graduate? It is a dreaded question because it's a dreaded question for anyone who's graduating, like, not just an artist. I mean, we have another issue because we have this career, this passion that isn't viewed necessarily as, a real job in society to a lot of people. To a lot of people, yes. To everyone in this room, obviously. So there are a bunch more people like us. So I don't want to make it sound just awful. But realistically, it is tough. But everyone feels the same way, even if you are a business major. There's this pressure. It's like it starts when you're a senior in high school, and it kind of goes all the way through. It's like, okay, you got 4 years to figure out, you're feeling like you have 4 years to figure out your entire life, and it's make or break. And then on the day after graduation, you're kind of expected to just step out, pay your bills, have a job, have a car, have it all figured out. And that's a lot. So it's like, okay, well, cred, what am I going to do? So what do I do? There's no wrong answer to the dreadful question, but you have to have an answer. When your mom or dad or your spouse asks you, so, okay, so they're worried. They're worried that you're still going to be, having to have money from them, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive? They're worried about you. And because that's their job, to worry about you. They love you. So they want the best for you. And so there's no wrong answer to the question. You just have to have one. You got to have one. You can't ignore it. You can't, I don't know, because that feels really nasty. And obviously you came into this room because maybe you thought, okay, I don't really like that question anymore, and I got to figure out an answer to it because it just doesn't feel right. Again, you don't have to have it all figured out right now. You have to have a plan for just the next step. But you have to have a plan. And the reason why it feels awful is because you don't necessarily have a plan. You don't have a next step, next little steps for the next, year maybe 6 months, maybe just the first 3 months you get out of summer. Like you gotta have a plan, and that's the difference. It doesn't have to be your life plan. You don't have to know what you're gonna do when you're 43, because you don't. Many 43-year-olds don't know what they're gonna do. Most people don't, or wish they were doing something else. So what it is you gotta be confident. Okay, well, it's hard to be confident when it's hard. That's the difference. You have to you have to have a plan, and you have to be confident about what your plan is and about what you want to do. And what's critical is that whatever you think about your situation, others will think too. However you react, they react. And I'll tell you a little story that I think is very much the same. And poor Lauren has to hear some of this again. But the other story is that about 4 years ago, I had Hodgkin's. I had lymphoma. And I don't know if anybody in here has had cancer, or you've had a family member or been around someone that has cancer, but it's not pleasant. And I have 3 children, and I have a husband, and I have a mom and dad, and brothers and sisters, and lots of friends, and I own a business and manage a lot of people who rely on me. And the worst part of the whole thing, well, there are many bad parts about having cancer, but one of the toughest things was when you had to tell someone, and the look on their face, and they would just be like they would get this look like the tears, and like automatically assume that I would die. And it was like, that is what I couldn't deal with. It's like, okay, first of all, I'm not a cancer patient. I mean, I was a cancer patient, but I didn't, it's like, no, I'm not gonna go there. But what I learned is that my family, my little kids, I had a 4-year-old at the time, and a 10-year-old, and a 9-year-old, whatever their ages are at the time. And they were all, we kind of had to tell them, because I had no hair. I had to wear, bandanas and kind of just make do, and people would, my worst case scenario was when I would be on that prayer list at church. Like, they would be praying for me as a cancer patient. Like, oh great, my kids are gonna go to church, they're gonna hear people praying for me. Like, people are gonna bring over meals. My kids are gonna freak out. And what I learned was that my kids reacted how I reacted. Had I decided to just lay on the couch. And yeah, you do have to lay on the couch once in a while because you just don't feel good when you have chemotherapy. But my kids reacted to how I reacted. They did, and matter of fact, some days everyone kind of forgot I had cancer, and I would be like, I don't feel well. Remember, I'm the cancer patient. Like, I'd have to remind them that I was a cancer patient because they would just be going on their daily lives. But it was really great, and I set it up that way. They were reacting to me. And I think I maybe, or at least I hope, out of that situation, I maybe even taught my own kids about if something like that happens to them, that it'll be okay. Like, it is what it is. You gotta react positively. So it's the same thing when you're having to deal with this question, what am I gonna do when I graduate? It seems a little bit different because you're not gonna die of dying of cancer, yes, but you're not gonna die answering that question. But it is the same thing. So you're thinking, how do you be confident when your dad's looking at you like, well, how are you gonna, like a lot of pressure, how are you gonna pay the bills, how are you gonna get a car, how are you gonna get insurance? Arts jobs don't have health insurance. Well, that's not true. Some arts jobs have health insurance, but you gotta know, you gotta have a plan, you gotta be able to answer that question. How are you gonna get it? How can you be confident? Well, my method of being confident is think of the worst case scenario. Like, just face it head on. What's the worst case scenario? Okay, so what are you, Dominic? What's your field? What kind of art?
DJ and clubbing, stuff like that.
Okay, so you're thinking, you're trying to convince your family how you're going to make a living doing that. Or you're a dancer or, musician, whatever artist. You want to dance in a dance company, and you're like, okay, well, it's auditioning. It's, how am I going to be a DJ and get into this whole clubbing music industry? How am I going to be, a music agent? I don't know what you were music. You're music?
Music business.
What kind of music business do you guys want to do? I mean, what do you think right now? See, this is the dreaded question, but you said a great answer. Probably arts management, kind of, what'd you say?
Artist management, like managing the musician.
How about you? I forget your name again. Aaron, music?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of all like, okay, you have an idea, like, okay, my big dream is I want to dance for the Joffrey Ballet, or I want to play at the Carnegie Hall, or I want to be at Ravinia someday and play, or you have these ideas of what you want, and so you're thinking, okay, well, what are the baby steps? What's the plan to get there? What's going to happen like the month after I graduate? 2 months after I graduate? You're thinking about this. You're building up your plan. But you got to think about the worst case scenario. So the worst case scenario is, for me, when I started my studio, I needed to get money, so I had to take out a bank loan. I didn't tell you all that detail, but I didn't have any money. My parents had no money. I started it with a partner. She didn't have any money. We both were right out of college. We had a little job. We had a couple of different jobs, just trying to pay our bills and stuff. And we lived in the city, and we decided to open up a dance studio. But we needed money, and we didn't have any money. And so we ended up, doing our homework, doing our business plan, and having a plan, and we took out a bank loan. So we convinced a bank. We confidently went in with our plan, convinced a bank to give us the $50,000 that we needed to start it, and we did. Okay, so I thought about the worst case scenario, like, well, what if no students show up? Like, what if the plan falls through? And I have this $50,000 loan plus school loans. I was a person that had to pay for all 4 years of my college. I had a car, I had an apartment, I had bills. What if it didn't happen? What if I had to have all these bills and this $50,000 loan and a lease I signed for my new business? Like, yeah, okay.
Making me nervous to hear you talk.
Okay, but you got to think about it. Okay, like, what if it doesn't work? Well, it's just not that bad. Like, I honestly, I think, okay, the worst case scenario is it's not as bad as you think it's gonna be. It's like, even when I had cancer, it's like, okay, so the worst case scenario was that I would die. Well, we all know, I know it seems a little crazy, but we all know we're going to eventually. I mean, we all were born, we all know we're gonna die, and so this is what I was thinking. I was like, well, yeah, I was raised Catholic and I go to church, and this is what I hear all the time. I hear, and if I be good and I do make good choices and I try to help others, like, okay, I can go to heaven, like, maybe, but it's gonna happen anyway. So even that worst case scenario, I was like, okay, well, I guess it'll just happen sooner than I thought. Yeah, I feel bad for my kids and my husband, but they'll be okay too. Like, they'll be okay. They'll be fine. They'll figure it out too, because it's gonna happen to them too. So but you gain confidence from feeling that way. It's hard to think that way, and you don't want to think the worst, but you kind of have to face your fear. You have to face the fact that you may try out for the Joffrey Ballet or even a smaller company and not make it. You may try to get a job, in arts, in music management, right out the door, or some other little jobs along the way, and it might not work. And you have a rent to pay and a car and health insurance. Okay, so you go do something else. It doesn't mean you give up. So you go work at Starbucks. You go get a job somewhere else. And you be confident about it, that you're still on the course of your plan. And you confidently say it. Like, you say to someone, your dad or mom or whoever it is that's maybe not really digging this whole thing. You say, okay, well, the worst case scenario is that I have to pay it back. Well, I will. Like, that's all that person wants to hear, is that you say, I will, and I have a plan. And here's my plan. And I realize that it might not pan out, and then I'll go to plan B. And you know what? Plan B is okay. Plan B's fine. You're still gonna be fine. It really isn't, the worst case scenario isn't that bad. And I think that's where you get the confidence. Because that's what that loved one, that mom or dad or that friend is thinking. They're thinking the worst case scenario. Crap, this person is gonna, be depending on me forever. I'm trying to retire, and great. They're gonna be living at home. They're gonna be a starving artist. And then if they get a job at, Starbucks, then I got to tell my friends. Like, maybe you even have a parent that kind of thinks that way. Like, then I got to tell my friends that my college graduate works at Starbucks. Like, you just need to say to your parent, honestly, like, so what? So what if I'm still paying my bills? Like, I'm not gonna come back. Yeah, I might need help now and then, but I have a plan, and I'm gonna keep working towards my plan. And I know it sounds lofty, like, oh, that sounds really great, Barb, but it's just baby steps. It's being realistic. The thing that you need to realize is that just because you have a plan, what's real life is you have a plan. You're going along on your plan, and then life happens. Something happens. You get sick, you lose the job, whatever. Your roommate moves out, now you got your apartment. It never is going to stay the same. It's not going to be the same. So then you got to switch your plan. And then you're moving along, you're like, okay, this is great. I'm feeling good. I got work. I'm moving along, trying to get my art going. I'm making money. I'm paying my bills. My dad and mom believe me. I'm moving along. And then all of a sudden something happens, and now your plan is shot. And you're like, okay, crud. Now I got to go. This is everybody. This is me. This is the people that aren't in college in the room. You've been doing it your whole life. You didn't know it. It's how it is. You think that, oh, they have it all together. They have the beautiful house and the cars and the wife and they're doing it too. They're having to switch plans all the time. And what it is how you react to it. So your attitude. So you're going along the plan and it all falls apart. You get cancer like me. You get cancer, and it's how you react. I reacted positively. My family and friends reacted positively. Almost to the point that it was bugging me. Because it was like, okay, don't forget I have cancer. I'm a sick person. I wanted the attention sometimes. Then we're moving along okay. Here, I'll give you my life really quick. We're moving along okay. I have cancer. My husband's an attorney. He's not an artist. We're doing okay. He loses his job. He's 50. Losing your job when you're 50 in this time period is tough. And he has 3 kids and a wife, and he's trying to retire someday. So it's how we react. We could be all doom and gloom. We could be, I do run an arts business. I'm not a millionaire because of this. I've been able to pay myself since the day I opened it, but not always in the timely fashion that I want, or not as much as I'd like, or I can't support my family with this. I could support myself with it, and I did. I had it before I was married. So it's how we react to it. So we're going along on our plan, and we're shifted, something happens, and we react positively, and we go to plan B. And people buy into it. And I don't mean buy into it in a negative way. I mean they really do. They react how you react. If you're like rock bottom, pulling up in the parents' driveway, yeah, it's not saying that you can't have those days. You're gonna have those days where you are rock bottom, where you do feel bad, but you gotta bounce back. You gotta get the plan going. You gotta be realistic. So, how do you do a plan? It's being responsible. Taking care of your business matters. Just like if you saw the keynote speaker, Matt Barisi, the other day, he was talking about that whole business aspect. That's what you have to do with your life. Like, your mom and dad kind of want to know that you're thinking about how you're going to pay your rent and maybe what that might cost. So take responsibility. Like, figure out where you might want to live. Like, maybe you're thinking, well, I'm going to live in St. Louis, or I'm going to move to Chicago, or I need to do my art in LA. So think about a plan. Like, okay, maybe I'm going to graduate in May, and I'm going to stay home at my parents'. I'm going to say to them, I'm going to be home for 3 months, and this is exactly what I did. I said, I'm going to stay home till August. I'm going to try to see what I can get going here. I did community theater. I had a little job that paid me a little bit of money so that I didn't have to ask my parents for spending money. But August 1st, I told them I'm moving to Chicago. I grew up in Springfield, Illinois. I'm moving to Chicago. And I had a friend that lived there, and he said, well, I could come and stay with him temporarily. Like, not live with him forever, but just until I got myself going. I had $500. I had a car that I could barely drive, and I moved to Chicago on August 1st, because that was my plan. That's what I told my mom and dad I was going to do, and they believed me. Yeah, were they worried? Yeah, they were worried. They're like, she barely knows how to drive the stick shift car. She doesn't have a job. She's crazy. Like, she's this lofty dreamer girl. But I did it. I just decided I was going to do it. I moved, stayed with my friend. I had some really goofy jobs. I was a wine consultant. I worked at a hotel. And I say goofy jobs only because it's not that I don't view them as good jobs. They were great jobs because they helped pay my bills. And they also created experiences for me to know what I was good at. Every job, no matter what it is, creates things in the job for you to realize what you're really good at. Like, you know what, I like managing people. Or I really hate doing accounting. I don't like to balance the cash register at the end of the day. It makes my skin crawl. Or, you know what, I really like older people. The customers that I wait on at Starbucks, I like elderly people. I really enjoy talking to them, and I feel really alive when I'm doing it. Like, okay, so that experience, or when I worked at a hotel, I don't want to clean. I don't want to clean like that. So I'm not going to do a job like that for too much longer. And so I got a different job. Now, it wasn't the dream job. So you have to do your homework. Be realistic. Figure out what you're going to do right after you graduate for a few months. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be realistic. It should be realistic, but say it to your whoever that person is that's making you feel like you don't want to talk about it. Let's not talk about it. Tell them what you're going to do, and try to stick to it. Try to stick to the plan. And if for some bumpy road happens and you go off the plan, try to positively react and come up with a plan B. Okay, so I couldn't move with my friend because he said no. He changed his mind. I'm going back to my scenario. He said, no, I don't want you to move in August 1st. So, okay, well, I still want to move to Chicago. So now what am I going to do? Well, do I have any other friend that I could ask if I could live with them temporarily? No. Okay, so I'm going to say to my mom and dad, instead of ignoring it, I'm going to say to them, okay, you know what? Peter said I can't live with them. That was his name. Peter said I can't live with them for a while, and so now I'm going to stay home for a few more months to make a little bit more money, and then I'm going to try to move to Chicago. And I'm going to still keep my part-time job, I'm going to stick with my plan. Or what if I gave up the part-time job already? And I was practically driving to Chicago. Well, then I'm going to have to go get another part-time job. Like, it's time to be responsible. That's what that loved one, that parent wants to hear you say. I'm taking the reins. Not that they're not going to help you. They know you're not going to be, it's not going to not be perfect. They just want to see that you have some sort of idea or plan. Okay, we're going to do just a little exercise. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, if you don't, there's some over here. What I want you to do is write down, you have to take a little thinking. Write down 4 things, like 4 times, like 4 experiences where you felt really alive, like where you felt like, okay, I'm good at this. I'm really good at this, and I really enjoy it. I felt alive. I feel energized by it. And it could be different things, like you did a math problem and you wrote a paper, had a job, and you managed people, and you felt really good, empowered by talking to them, by helping them. Try to think of a few things. It doesn't have to be exactly 4. It could be 3, whatever. But just a couple of different things. And it could be anything, like raking leaves. Like, I love to do yard work. I get a real kick out of it. So I feel really good when it's complete. And you're not going to tell me these things, so don't worry about that you have to say it in front of anybody. It's just for you. If you're done with that, look at those things that you wrote and see what the common thread is. What's similar in those things, and write that down. Okay, well, this is just a little brief thing, but whatever that common thread was, or whatever, maybe you didn't have a common thread. Maybe they were 4 distinct things that you've done that make you feel really empowered, make you feel alive, make you feel really successful or energetic, or like you want to do more of it. Those are your gifts. Those are your gifts. That's your uniqueness. That's what's inside you. That is a strength of yours that was given to you when you were born, that creates passion for you. Because when you feel good doing something, you become passionate about it. That's strength. It's like that's what you're good at. Like, I had my business, when I started my business, I taught all the dance classes. And I was a good teacher, but I knew that I could only take these kids so far. And I knew I lived next to Chicago, a great metropolitan area with great artists. And so I wanted to bring those artists out. And as I changed my role, and I got really burnt out teaching. Like, this just started to really burn me out. So I started managing. And I got really good at it. Like, I got really good at managing, and I'd feel really good. Like, someone would come into my office, and I would help them through a situation, and I'd feel very like, gosh, that was fun. Like, I'm going to do that again. That's a strength of mine. I'm able to help my staff work through their situations, and they feel very good, and I feel very good after they leave. That's a strength. That's a gift of mine that I have. So what you have to do is figure out how to do more of that. whatever that common thread is. Now, it may have had nothing to do with your art, and you have this art degree and you're trying to figure out what to do. But what it does have to do with is an element of your life that has to do with your art. So, like, let's say you want to audition for dance companies, you want to be in a professional ballet company, or you want to go and play in a band somewhere, and you know the band, you want to audition. The other job that you have, go ahead and try to get a job that is something that you enjoy doing, that you really enjoy doing, that gives you a pump, like gives you a little energy, and it keeps you motivated. And the way you run your arts life, focus on the things that you're strong at, your strengths, your gifts, the things that give you energy, and get someone else to help you do the things that you're not. So if you're really great at meeting people and going to auditions, and you're really great at that, but you're not great at the budgeting and figuring out, okay, I need to make this much money in order to pay these bills, then get help with that. And that's probably also the thing that you're ignoring. That's the thing you're trying to act like I don't have to do. I don't have to do. Usually the thing that we don't want to do is the thing that we need to do the most. And if we just did it, it would be over. But get someone else to fill the void of your strength. Of your weakness. Focus on your strengths. Focus on the prize. Focus on the things that make you feel good, that help move you forward, and get others to help you. A dad, mom, a friend, whatever. Maybe you're going to make so much money at your art that you can hire an accountant to do your accounting. Whatever. Get someone to help you with your weakness. What that does is it creates motivation. And when we're passionate about something, we're motivated about something. And when we're passionate and motivated by something, we can sell anything to anyone. You're going to be able to go to your mom and dad and say, okay, here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to do. But you have to think about it. You have to think about it more than just, and one step at a time, more than just the big plan. I'm going to be in the Joffrey Ballet. Well, great, you're going to be in the Joffrey. That sounds really lofty, darling, but how are you going to pay your bills? Back it back down to the next step. The month after you graduate. Be realistic. Be verbal. I think that the bottom line is that you get a plan, you tell the people that you're afraid to tell most about the plan, you think about the worst case scenario, and you kind of realize, you know what, even the worst case scenario I could live with. Even in my family situation right now where my husband doesn't have a job, if we had to sell our house, do I want to do that? No. I've even cried about it. But could I? Would I be okay? Yeah. And the thing is that worst case scenario isn't going to happen. It's not even going to happen because you're not going to let it happen because you have a plan and you're motivated. You know what your strengths are, you know what your gifts are, and you're moving forward. You have a plan. And when the plan doesn't work out, you're going to view it as an opportunity. You're going to react positively, and you're going to view it as an opportunity to grow into another direction or grow in any way. That's it. That's all I have to say on the topic.